Entering the cafeteria, Han enjoyed the use of space when they created the middle school. He looked at the high ceiling with the exposed ductwork and the matte black paint. On his right side was a large window that nearly reached the top. The window was placed in a way that would let in the maximum amount of light when students were eating their lunches, so currently there was a significant shadow cast by the rising sun. Seeing several groups of students sitting around tables and benches, the feeling was similar to hanging out at a nice restaurant instead of a cafeteria he remembered. Back in his previous life, there were long tables parallel to one another for students to sit. It was a standard looking setup and nothing mind-blowing. Glancing over, Han saw that several students were already lining up to order some breakfast. There was a line for those who wanted the simple meal that was provided through government subsidies, and the other for those whose parents paid a little extra to give their kids some options. Instead of being limited to just eggs, bacon, juice, and milk, those who spent more were able to order omelets, grab some fruit, and coffee at the mini coffee stand. "Hey Han!" he heard Alex's voice call out to him. Claire tugged on his sleeve and pointed. "Alex is sitting over on the bench." Seeing where Alex was sitting, he yelled, "The girls and I are going to grab something." Alex gave him a thumbs up, so Han followed after Claire and Hannah. The two girls went over to the line, allowing more selections, instead of going to the subsidized line. Han stood next to them and looked at the other students waiting in line. "What are you getting?" Hannah asked him. "I'm just going to grab a bottle of milk," he answered. Claire lightly smacked him on his shoulder with the back of her hand. "You should get one of the juice smoothies. They taste a lot better than just milk." "I'm good. Getting milk is all I need," he smiled and shrugged one of his shoulders. As the line moved and they reached the register, Hannah said, "I'll have a yogurt and apple spinach smoothie." The lady at the register inputted the order into the display. Looking up and smiling at Hannah, the woman said, "That'll be 5 credits, student." Hannah placed her wrist that had a bracelet on it and held it over a scanner for a couple of seconds. The scanner had a small screen which pulsed a red light, but after retrieving the necessary information, the screen changed to a bright solid green color. "Thank you," Hannah said to the lady and walked to the side to wait for Claire and Han. When the lady turned to look at Claire, Claire said, "I'm going to have a strawberry maple smoothie and an apple." Lifting her hand and indicating with her thumb at Han, she said, "He'll have a strawberry banana smoothie." Seeing the display pulse red, she quickly placed her wrist that had the bracelet on the scanner. After it turned green, she grabbed Han's hand and pulled him out of the line to where Hannah was waiting. "What did you do that for?" Han asked Claire when she released his hand. Turning her head to Hannah, Claire asked, "Can you believe this guy? And just wanting to get some milk?" Looking at Han, Claire said, "Just getting milk is boring, and I know that you only have a small allowance you earn from mowing the lawn. Just because your parents are well off doesn't mean that you should be spending their money. You should be more frugal," Han sighed. Claire waved off his advice and concern and walked over to where the apples were displayed and grabbed the one at the top. Hannah followed after her after grinning at Han. Next to the stand where the smoothies were made was the fridge with several items such as yogurts, which Hannah grabbed before standing next to Claire to wait for their smoothies. Han just looked at how the two of them were casually chatting as always, especially Claire, who occasionally glanced at Han when she thought he wasn't looking. Being that Claire came from a family where her dad was a doctor, he knew that it made her feel self-conscious around him. She would often pay for things instead of letting him use his allowance he saved up. He chuckled at how she always tried to look out for him, considering he could just make precious metals appear out of thin air, so money didn't mean anything to him. When he started 4th grade, his dad suggested he mow the lawn to earn a couple of credits for him to use on whatever he wanted. Son, a man needs to be able to take care of himself before he gets married. You're at an age where you need to practice in becoming the breadwinner. I know you and the Alex kid visit the mall, so having credits will help you learn the meaning of being the provider, his dad told him on one of their family vacations to the national parks. Han knew that if his dad heard that he had let a woman pay for him, his dad would lecture him for hours. The few times the four of them went to Han's house, he noticed that whenever his dad looked at Claire, his eyes would darken, likely due to thinking about her dad and how much a doctor brought home. Walking over to where the two of them were standing, Han watched the lady behind the counter begin placing 3 containers on the prep station. One by one, the woman added the various ingredients to each metal holder. Grabbing 3 lids that had sharp blades sticking down, she secured each cup and grabbed the 3 containers and turned around to where the blending device was. Flipping each one and inserting them into the machine, the familiar whirring noise could be heard. In a few moments, there were 3 metal cups with straws in them being presented. "Enjoy your smoothie, students," the smoothie lady said to them. Each one of them grabbed their cups and headed towards where Alex was waiting for them. Reaching the bench where Alex was sitting, Han sat next to Alex and pulled out the mini table and cup holder that each bench seat had. Alex noticed the metal cup and looked at Han and grinned. "I see that your wife is looking after you again." "I was just planning on grabbing milk to drink, but Claire didn't think that was appropriate." Han lifted both hands palm up. "How do you expect to concentrate on the test today with just milk?" Claire retorted, sitting down next to Han. "Alex, did you want a smoothie?" Hannah asked as she sat down next to him. Alex smiled and shook his head. "I doubt that a smoothie is what's going to get me the grade I need for this test." "That's why I told you to study, instead of going to the mall and goofing off," Hannah nagged him. "Now who has a wife looking after him?" Claire teased. "It's not my fault that reading comics is more fun than reading the textbook," Alex said, tilting his head back and sighing. Han grabbed the metal cup and took a sip, enjoying the strawberry banana flavor. Even though he had a big breakfast, he still enjoyed drinking the smoothie. It had a sweet and smooth taste to it, tasting fresh compared to what modern companies sold on the parallel Earth. This world was more conscious about what was used in their product, though they still used synthetic ingredients, just in a more thought out manner. "Aren't you glad that you got to drink that smoothie?" Claire interrupted his thoughts. Placing the cup back down, Han said, "I didn't say that I disliked the taste. You freely using your dad's money is what has me concerned." "My dad already knows I buy you things, so it's not like I'm hiding it," Claire countered. "I guess I was overthinking it," Han said, smiling at Claire. "Thank you for the smoothie, Claire." "As long as you know who to thank," Claire said as she looked away, likely blushing. While they chatted with one another, there was a light bell noise to indicate that first period would be starting soon. Students in the cafeteria began gathering their things and heading off in groups toward their respective section. "I don't feel like heading to history class," Alex grumbled. "You should have signed up for chemistry as we did," Hannah said. Alex shuddered at Hannah's words. "I'm okay with taking basic chemistry course during the 5th period. You guys are too hardcore for me with the academic path you're mapping out. I'm better at the computer-related courses anyways." "I'll see you at Intro to Computers at the 2nd period," Han said to him. "I want to take that course, but my schedule is pretty full. I may take it during 9th grade at the high school," Claire sighed. "I'm in the same boat," Hannah agreed. "Both your dads work over at the hospital, so it's understandable for you guys to have similar classes." Han nodded his head. Claire took a deep breath. Both of our dads think women becoming doctors is something the industry needs, so they keep pressuring us to follow their footsteps. I don't know how I could deal with that. Making video games on the computer sounds way more fun, Alex stated. You just like playing video games, Claire said, not buying what Alex was saying. Alex stood up and stretched. You make that sound like a bad thing.